Okay, welcome to segment 2 of episode 2 of Garden Dialogue. And we're here talking about, we named this the 5-day crisis, right?
The 5-day crisis. 5 days
Yeah.
with a little hell on earth.
So what happened? You initially had the attitude, I'm not gonna let this ruin my day, you know. You got an eviction notice, I'm not gonna let this ruin my day, I'm gonna handle it. Then what happened?
Exactly. So I don't know if if you guys out there who don't live in New York City, things kind of work a little bit differently here when it comes to rent. Usually the courts are pretty much on the tenant side when it comes to situations like this, but landlords can be, they can be a bit. What do I want to say without being judgmental? They can make your life a little uncomfortable. As you saw from the little clip that we started at the beginning of the short here, that was the day that I was going off to court. So I was, Mikey and I got together and we went off to the courtroom. And the hardest thing for me to deal with when I go to the courtroom or when I go to, housing court is there's such a difference in the vibrational frequency in that environment. And I don't know what it is, and I can't really put my finger on it, but it's just something that you really, really feel when you just walk in there. Of course, they're like, the electronic things are going up and down on you to make sure, you're not concealing any weapons, and you can't take cameras in, you can't take, recording devices, and I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to live without these things, So I'm on my way off to the courtroom, and all that's going through my mind is I'm off to be judged. I'm off to be judged,
Mm-hmm.
and because that's what it is. It's a situation for judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And I follow the Course in Miracles, and I have a totally different view of justice than the justice that we've become used to, again, in the illusion. So we went to the courtroom, and it was really relatively quite simple. I had to stand in line, and the woman who was standing in front of me in line, it was really quite interesting because the woman who was standing in front of me in line, and there were only like 4 people in line, and so what you do is you go in and you show them your paperwork, and you give them a reason why you haven't paid the rent. And then they set a date for you. Everything's based on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And so I often tell people, everything would be just fine with my landlord if they just wouldn't live on a calendar. Because they always get their money. It's just that I don't always pay on time.
Okay.
And I always come back to Marianne Williamson when I think about this, because she always says, it doesn't matter how much money you make. If you don't have enough money to pay your bills, if you're just showing that you're willing to pay your bills in good faith, everything will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I forgot that, Mikey. Okay, I wasn't thinking about Marianne Williamson at that time.
It's easy
I
for
was
that
thinking
ego
about
to
the
kick in.
woman who was in line in front of me, who was really, really going through a lot of agony waiting to get up to the window, right? And I was like, why are you in such a hurry to get up to the window? It's like you want to go up there and deal with that quicker. So I was glad that she was in front of me and not behind me, thank goodness. So that's what happened. We went to the courtroom and we set the date, and the date was only a week away. So all of this has culminated from me not really paying attention to the budget. Pay attention to your budgets, okay? So you don't get your budget in an uproar, or you don't get your budget in trouble, right?
So what happened then? You saw these people.
So
Who did you see actually?
well, I just saw, there's just a person who greets you at the window, and she was actually quite nice.
Good, nice.
Because I go in there and everybody's like walking around going, like you could just tell that they really hate being there. They're in that 9 to 5 grind and things.
Yeah.
And and I'm walking around going, hi, how are you? Hello.
I love you.
And then of course think I'm on drugs. So, but anyway, I just went up to the window, and they set the date for me to return to court, which is on the 6th, which I'm sure we're going to have a great follow-up for that. So I come home I went straight to work after that day. Did I? No, I came back home that day. And by now I'm starting to kind of think in terms of, well, how did this happen? So I'm starting to move into the past, right?
Okay. Oh, okay.
Which is not a
Never
good thing to
really
do, kids.
helps.
It's not a good thing to do, because really when you think about it, the past prevents you from moving ahead.
Uh-huh.
It really does. So I started getting focused on this because I was like, well, how did this happen? How did this happen? Where did the money go? How did this fall through? And I started getting focused on that.
Mm-hmm.
And what invariably happened, and I believe that this simply through this particular experience is proof of it, was I was starting to set myself up for a situation of self-doubt. And I was kind of in the situation where I was like, do I have the ability to even manage money?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, well, obviously not. Otherwise I wouldn't be in trouble like this. Okay, so I immediately started moving into a judgmental state of mind.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at this point, you're really becoming a part of